Let's wait for people to come in.
Oh my God. I hope everybody has their drinks with them like I do.
I just pulled a drink out.
Yeah. It's one of those nights. It's a Saturday night. You know what? The vibe is killed, but we can bring it back.
The vibe is dead. I don't know that we can bring the vibe back. That was a vibe
You're right.
deadening thing.
I quite literally have Marvin's Room playing in the background right now, so I'm coping
Jesus.
very hard right now. 17-point lead.
Yeah.
Russ, 17-point lead.
I'm going to post this on Twitter. We are live on Crazy Cast.
I'll retweet it.
With JMann. Come mourn / vent / cope with us.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. I also don't have the login for the SpeakPipe thing. So so we're not gonna get to hear people's phone calls tonight. Darn.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Trust me, I think we'll say what everybody is thinking.
Yeah, Zion's was at the game and he didn't send me the SpeakPipe login stuff, so I have no way to access it, unfortunately. Also, I would have had to pre-screen what we play, given that this is we're not trying to just let people go completely ballistic on here.
Dude, I know. I don't know. It's very funny. I've listened to a couple of those, and it's been very funny to hear people.
People are mad when we win. So people, I mean, just brutal stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's too bright. There we go. That's a little better. Outscored 41-23 in the last 16 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That is exactly what I want to hear.
Big old fart noise.
They shot 62% in the second half. I mean, of course they did, right? But like, damn. They played 3 guys.
Yeah. I maintain looking at it, dude. I mean, we'll talk about it more once the show start. I mean, you can go ahead and start the show, honestly. We're not waiting that much for people to come in, I guess. It's a Saturday night. I don't really know how many people are going to come in for real anyway. I'll check and make sure that it posted on Zion's Twitter account, which it normally does.
Oh, what a Jesus! What a night!
Let's see. Yeah, it's live on Zion's thing. There's a bunch of people on Twitter right now. Leave comments.
Let me have it.
We're live on YouTube. I definitely can see the YouTube comments. I see some of the X comments.
Let me see if the chat.
But nothing enormously delightful yet at this point. Let's go ahead and let me figure out how to play this opening theme. I should have it here. 2 seconds. I'm emceeing because Zion was at the game. It's his fault, is what I'm saying. Let's watch this opening credit and then let's get moving.
The 3 of you guys, man, thank you for what you guys do, and appreciate you guys having me on.
We were trying not to score, and everything we got about 33s or something.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
Nothing beast mode about tonight, except for Christian Anderson, maybe. Who, by the way, I realized I misspelled his name on Twitter, like the famous children's author Hans Christian Andersen. So I misspelled Anderson. Whoops. Oh,
yeah.
Well, maybe that's why he went off, was because I misspelled his name. We are the Crazy Cast here on the Field of 68 Network. I'm Duke Better. I'm here with JMann. Boy, not a great night. Very up, very down. Was down, then up, then down. Looked like it was going to get back up, way down. A lot of things to talk about tonight, but JMann, let's just start with you. Just quick takeaways. Your obvious takeaways.
Duke can't put a ranked opponent away. Like it's been a trend, I guess, this season. Like Florida, they were up double digits. Looked like they could run away with it in Cameron. Obviously, Florida came back, took the lead. Then obviously Isaiah hit the game winner. The Arkansas game, Duke was up 9 to 11 points against Arkansas. Arkansas came back, took the lead, and now Texas Tech, maybe even the Kansas game too. But Texas Tech, they were down 10 at half. They're down 17 in the second half. They cut it to 2. Duke puts it to 11. And then Christian Anderson hits back-to-back threes. And then I think JT Toppin made a layup to make an 8-0 run where they cut it to a one-possession game just like that. This Duke team just can't put good teams away, and that is concerning. Like the effort is there, like when they face that adversity, right? Like they've overcame those collapses previously in the season, but to see it unfold against the Texas Tech team that literally played 3 guys in the rotation. They ranked 343rd on KenPom in bench minutes because everybody's hurt for them. So Petty's the only guy off the bench. He had 5 points, and then Watts was the one-man show in the first half. He fouled out early in the second half. And then Christian Anderson, like you said, from the top. Like he took over, and he was my X factor in the game. I had Christian O'Jackson on for the preview about the Texas Tech Duke game, and I said Christian Anderson would be the reason they won because he's a difference maker. And then sure enough, he quite literally was. It's a frustrating loss because Duke's up 17 and then just kind of relaxed, and we've seen that a little too often.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look through right now. Outside of the run of the very beginning of the second half, boy, those minutes with Foster, Evans, Cam, and Pat, where Dame wasn't the 5th guy, without like actually sitting and adding them up. Outside of that run, I think that lineup was a loser every single time. When Dame was out there, it was better. But we got some problems with the starting lineup, man. I don't know what to say about it beyond the fact that like we've seen this team struggle at the beginnings of games a lot. I tweeted it right away after the first few minutes. I was like, at some point, Duke's going to have to lose a game in order to learn to take the beginning of games seriously. And obviously, Duke built back a huge lead, but when we were up 17, imagine if we hadn't dug ourselves a 9-0 hole at the beginning and we're up 26 instead of 17. We win that game. Potentially. I mean, I guess who knows, given what happened and the dynamics of it all. But if you dig yourself a hole, it's not about what happens. You can get a lead back, but you have to consider where you could have been had you not dug yourself that hole. And I don't know why Duke comes out so flat so frequently in games. That's really frustrating. I don't know if that's certainly we saw that some in some other teams, both in K and Scheyer when they were younger teams. I mean, maybe there's just a bit of we're good, we're prepared, we're good. Let's just go in and let's play our game and whatever else. But there's a lack of intensity at the beginning of those games, and you have to just tip your cap to Texas Tech. The one way that they beat Duke consistently in this game was with intensity. I mean, they were even when Watts was out, even when Toppin was sitting, they were still getting rebounds. I mean, they were still getting to balls. I mean, we've got Brian here. We're gonna throw Brian in here as well. What's up, man? Yeah, I just don't know how Duke learns to start games better until they lose a game, which they did. So maybe we'll see what happens, from here. I would say the one good thing, quote, good thing that nobody actually wants to hear, but is worth mentioning is like, in our 5 really important games out of conference, we're 4-1 in them. We don't have a bad loss yet in terms of the resume. This was a bad loss in terms of the dynamics of the game and how it happened. But like, things could be worse. If we had heard we lost this game in a bubble, we would have kind of been like, yeah, okay. Like we were probably due. We played a bunch of close games. We're probably due. It's just the way the game was lost. That's the thing that is very embarrassing, and the lack of effort and everything else. Before we get to you, Brian, we theoretically have Scheyer live from the scene.
I mean,
no, Brian, Zion, we can't. Yeah, get out of here.
it's in the trenches.
Yeah,
Somebody's
good
always in some
Lord.
coffin or crypt somewhere.
His reception was worse than the Duke effort tonight. Brian, your quick takeaways. We haven't really gone into anything specific other than just, broad takeaways.
Man, it's like my eyes are telling me things I don't want to say out loud in that game because I don't want to be that guy. But the word was effort, and I really didn't see it. Like, especially on those offensive boards that they were just giving up. Like, how does Nick Kameni at 6'8" get 0 rebounds in a game?
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Not one.
Yeah, he had a tough game. I mean, I think I was ranting about maybe right before you came on that our starting lineups have just not played well this year generally, even before Nick joined the starting lineup. But at least today the team was clearly better, I thought, when Dame was on the floor, even with, some of the mistakes and missed shots and whatever. I mean, like, those lineups played better. Our bench production was very good. So like I don't know. We might have to make a change at some point. I don't know, but yeah, big effort stuff. Brian, I don't want to pause you, but let's get Zion coming to you live from the station or something. Talk, Zion. Let's hear you. A little bit. Talk closer to your camera, dude. We can't hear you that well.
I got my AirPods in. Y'all hear me?
Yeah, you sound a little underwater, so make sure you're speaking up. But yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. What's good, y'all? Bad loss, very bad loss. Happens though, I'd rather happen it now than the ACC play. I will share quickly before y'all still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Hold up, Zion. You paused right when you're about to give us a morsel there. Oh, you're frozen. How do I full screen the
perfect time, too.
Yeah, we're gonna just watch this the rest of the game, the rest of the thing. This is making me feel better.
I screenshotted that. I'm gonna Photoshop the hell out of that at some point.
I don't know. Yeah, we lost him again. When he comes back, he said he's got something to share. We'll see what we can hear from him once he's back. But
he's always in some dungeon or like a Chinese restaurant basement or somewhere. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
He's never somewhere, orthodox. I mean, that's just, New York living, baby. But yeah, the effort. You were talking about the effort, Brian. Continue.
Yeah, just like Slim had that one turnover like in crunch time. Like, I mean, this is little things like that like they should be cleaned up by now. You're 12 games in. Like, these things shouldn't be happening. And like I didn't want to overreact after Lipscomb because that was, bad. But then to see it happening again, obviously they didn't have as many turnovers, but like I didn't see the fire. I didn't see it just looked like a team that was just, okay, let's just go play a game. Like I didn't see, I don't know, maybe it's just me.
No, it's not just you. I mean, I really think that the game was kind of defined by that the lineup where it was Foster Evans, Nick, Cam, and Malik, where they played for like over 5.5 minutes after Watts had fouled out, topping with 4 after the other dude fouled out, and we were +1 in that 5.5 minute stretch. I mean, like I don't know how that happens. That's not acceptable. Zion, you back?
Am I better now?
Yeah, just speak up and get to the juicy morsel right away while we see you.
All right, so I did hear that Isaiah Evans. This is not from Duke themselves. So no one just assume this is high. I'm hearing from Duke. Isaiah Evans did not practice this week, and he was sick. He was like dead sick tonight. So I don't know if y'all talked about his performance tonight, but obviously he did not score much. And didn't really get it going until late in the game. But I heard it was really bad today. Not to make excuses, but I'm just giving some context. Still bad performance, horrible choke. Got to hit your free throws. You got to rebound. Rebounding was a big issue down the stretch. But there was some context to Isaiah's performance, a little bit.
I guess my counterpoint to that would be like, if he's so clearly sick while we're watching him, then like how is he on the floor in a big game like this down the stretch with, like especially in a game where our bench production was so positive. Like, I mean, I know he's the guy. I mean, he's one of the guys on this team, so I kind of get that. But like, man,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. That's
I think.
tough.
I mean, regardless. I mean, you got to perform if you're on the court.
Yeah.
And I do think overall, like, I know a lot of people are blaming Scheyer on the timeline, which is, I understand the attachment of we blew another big loss down the stretch. Obviously all that narrative. I get that. But to me, if you rebound and you hit your free throws, this is a win. For the most part. I think it's very simple as that. Effort was definitely terrible down the stretch. And even Isaiah was part of that. I think he got caught looking on a rebound. I think it was Christian Anderson's putback. But if you give a team that has two All-American caliber players, as much room as we did to come back, that's what's going to happen. So, I saw Christian Anderson going off down the stretch. I was like, yeah, it might be the one. We're going to take a loss tonight because at some point, we're playing with fire. We've had a lot of close games down the stretch. Florida, probably should have lost that game. It was going to bite us in the butt at one time. And I'm just happy it's now rather than the ACC play where it matters even more, for us. But overall, though, I'm pretty sure y'all covered it. 11-1. Who's saying no to that coming into the season? First 12 games. So, bad loss tonight, terrible loss, but I think bigger picture, we're in a good stretch.
All right, thank you, Zion. Appreciate you live from the stadium, live from the trek back. We've got Zion there.
But I'll holler at y'all later.
All right, hit that Chick-fil-A, man.
I got a question for JMann, if I can ask it.
Yeah.
Please.
So you're the closest thing we have to a coach in this little group that's here today. How do you make free throws a priority without making it a priority? Like if you say it, then you like make it a thing. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Trust me, it's frustrating. And there was a point. I don't know what the score was. It was the one, Rush, you talked about. It was a great play by Pat to get the offensive rebound. And then I think JT picked up his fourth foul there, and then he missed the two free throws right there. So it was like Duke got the momentum. JT got his fourth foul. Duke missed two free throws. But I don't know. Like, I know they practice them. Like every team practices them. It's just I don't know. Like I know guys get in the gym and get more reps up. It's just psychological. Like for the easiest way to explain it is, as a guy that struggles shooting free throws, it was psychological for me. When I went to the line, the first one, I was like, all right, let's get this. And if I miss it, I'm like, all right, I can correct my mistake from my miss and make the second one, which I always did. But the first one was always a little iffy for me. So I understand the psychological part of it because I was a good shooter, but I always just in my head at the line. And some of these guys just kind of look like they just either rush it. Like I feel like Foster goes a little too quick on his, where he just like it's a quick one dribble and he shoots, and it just seems like it's rushed. And then other guys just don't seem focus is not the right word, but like I knew when Cam Boozer got fouled, he was going to make one or two to tie the game. I just knew, like I knew he wasn't going to make both. I don't know how to explain it rather than a feeling of watching a team struggle from the free throw line all game, but. That was definitely a reason Duke lost. Like it's easy to point to a 1 point loss. Like, well, you missed 12 free throws, and that's true. But my frustration, and I know people like to talk about Scheyer and the blown lead against Houston in this game. Both of those were like the players on the court made the wrong plays. There was a time where Cam Boozer made an awful pass. Christian Anderson picks it off and then pulls up for three and hits it. Like, you cannot make a dumb live ball turnover and an All-American is going to make you pay. And he went on a 6-0 run because Duke had back-to-back turnovers. Like, I say back-to-back turnovers because Cam Boozer pitched ahead to Malik Brown to shoot a contested layup that had no chance of going in. I count that as a turnover. And then what happens? Christian Anderson kills Duke right there, 6-0 run in 15 seconds. And so, though you can blame Scheyer for certain things, like the players on the court are making bad plays in monumental stretches where Duke's up 11. Like, you're up 11, you blink the eye, you're up 5. It's like, how does that happen?
Thank you for saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
On the timeline. It's a thing. Scheyer's got a thing now. He's got this thing. It's not him.
It's a freak thing. Like, it's just, it's Scheyer. Yeah, of course there's some critiques for sure, but the players on its court have to make plays. And Duke had terrible live ball turnovers in this game that Texas Tech made them pay because they have 2 All-Americans on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to say that, like, I'm inclined to say it's more complicated than that, just in the sense that, like, I feel like, generally speaking, in the past, guys have gone after Scheyer because of, the coach, whatever. And sure, so it's more complicated than what people make it out to be. But then also, when we win close games at the beginning of this year, then the discourse is, hey, Scheyer's figured it out. Scheier's figured it out. He's figured it out. It's like, yes and no to both sides of things here, right? Like, yeah, individual plays are more on players than the coach, but also there are things that a coach can emphasize that, can help point those players in the right direction. Like, look, we only turned over the ball 11 times today, right? Like, something like that. Maybe less.
11.
Yeah, 11. 6 in the second half, 5 in the first half, something like that. It was an even split. That's not, like, enormous in a game like this, I don't think. A number of those were not live ball. I know there were some, but, like, if I had to look at Texas Tech's, like, they had 10 fast break points compared to Duke's 9. But, like, that's pretty even, Steven. Like, that doesn't move the needle to me too much. If anything, it's just, like, it's little things that I do think are, from a strategic perspective, things that make me raise my eyebrow. For instance, staying in switch when Christian Anderson's turbo is ignited, where they are clearly targeting players in switches to let Christian Anderson go one-on-one, and we remain doing the exact same thing that then at one point puts Pat on an island against Christian Anderson, where I didn't need a crystal ball to know how that possession was going to end. You know what I mean? Like that. And I know they said on the broadcast, like, he made a great contest. Yeah, for a guy who should never be defending him on an island when his turbo is ignited. Like, 100% he shouldn't be there at that point. Like, should he even be in the game when there's nobody, like, when I know, like, if we're playing Pat and Cam, and, we've got all this size out there, right? And they are playing nobody with size, and they're trying to spread out, and they're trying to run around, and they're trying to do all that stuff. Is playing Malik more the move? Is playing guys who are, like, I very much question not playing Dame Sarr down the stretch, considering how positive his minutes were. And I think that that's not something where you go like, but he had, like, he made this bad play, and so then we never saw him again. But yeah, we saw other guys make bad plays too, and they stayed in. He didn't go back to it at all. And so I'm not saying that, like, it's any individual person's fault, be it coach or player, right? It never is. It's always a team effort, coach, player, staff. Everybody loses a game together as one, right? But I also do think that it's worth questioning in losses the wisdom of things that if we won the game, people would go, like, if Christian Anderson misses the shot when Pat's on him, you have to still question that decision whether the shot goes in or it doesn't. And I feel like too often discussions about coaching or about the way that players play in general is solely results oriented and not about, like, how the wisdom of the approach, right? If we left a 23% 3-point shooter to shoot a wide open three and he makes it, then people go, we shouldn't have left him wide open. No, leaving him wide open is the right call there, right? But you know what I mean? So like it's hard to not be a prisoner of the moment, but down the stretch when Dame was so pesky on guards in his minutes, and it was so clear that in particular Christian Anderson, they were just like, give it to him and let him cook, and he's targeting Nick, and he's targeting Caden, and he's targeting guys, bigs, he's targeting Cam, he's targeting Pat, like in those switches and just going to work. Is there not more wisdom to putting somebody out there who can do something, and especially in a game where our scoring was very much not the problem at all?
Right. The scoring wasn't the problem, but and the defense was. And I'm curious to know if Scheyer wanted that switch, because against Florida, when Boogie Ellis hit the three, Boogie Ellis, I say that every time, Boogie Bland hit the three to get them the lead, he said it was a blown coverage. And you could see that like Pat switched or something happened, and
sure,
it wasn't supposed to happen. So maybe that happened with Christian Anderson. I'm hoping that was the case, because I agree with you that you can't let Pat Gongba be out there guarding 25 feet away from the basket against a guy like Christian Anderson, who loves to dance with the ball. And so it was a hell of a shot by Christian, but maybe it was the wrong coverage. Maybe something happened, because it looked like, I think Caden was guarding him at the time. It looked like he gave up on that very quickly. It was almost like an NBA defensive switch, where it was like, I'm not even coming in contact with a pick, but we're just going to switch this right now.
That's kind of why I thought it was by design.
I didn't like, and it could have been like it could have been. I just didn't like conceding that, if I like, because I wanted the point guard to guard him like we all did. And so I thought Caleb Foster did a really good job on Christian Anderson in the first half, and I wish that Duke would have made it a point of emphasis, like, hey, that's your guy, and like stay on him, and then let Caden or somebody else get on Atwell, who's going to be a catch and shoot guy, because Caleb Foster is so good guarding the basketball. He had a tough foul that obviously gave Texas Tech the one free throw to win the game. But that's what makes him so good as a defender, is getting into Christian Anderson and making him uncomfortable. So I wish that he guarded the ball more than he did in the second half. And you're right, like the offense scored 81 points. You should have won the game scoring 81. You give up 62% or whatever it was in the second half to Christian Anderson and JT Toppin, essentially. And you got to get stops. This team is prides itself on defense. You give up 46 points in the second half, you're going to lose that game. And at the end of the day, it sucks that Duke blew this game, but it's a December loss right before Christmas. Conference plays right around the corner. Georgia Tech is right before New Year. You know what? A lot to learn from, and maybe it is a wake-up call for the guys. Like, maybe they look terrible against Lipscomb. Like, that film breakdown took me – I didn't even want to do it. I'll be honest with you. I did not want to do it. And
it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing effort.
Yeah, and maybe they needed to see an L on the scoreboard to really wake up. And so sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that rude awakening. And so
I can't believe that after that embarrassing effort, we follow it up with a second consecutive embarrassing effort. Yeah, like that's a tough pill to swallow. That's the thing. I thought before coming into this season that losing to Texas Tech on a neutral court, I was very high on Texas Tech coming into the season. So I thought, yeah, that's a totally reasonable game in which we might lose. Even in Madison Square Garden, there's a chance, right? They're going to have at least one All-American. They've got a really good coach. You know, like, stuff happens, you know, like, so then, like, for us to come out flat again. And I mean, like, at what point, like, this is the thing that, like, I know that everybody is just going to keep talking about, like, Scheyer when it comes to all this stuff. And I agree that it's unfair, and I agree that it's the job too, is to take those shells, right? Like, that's your job, is to be blamed when your team loses. Like, that's a huge part of it. Where are the buttons to push, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he knows the buttons to push in a way that none of us will, because we're not in the practices. But it seemed like sitting at home from my comfortable chair that, like, you know, like, they came out flat again. Like, did they learn nothing? Were no buttons pushed this week? I'm sure they practiced super hard this week, and yet when they came out, it looked like they hadn't. Yeah. And that's a big problem. And it doesn't matter whose fault it is, it's going to reflect badly upon everybody, including the coach.
They play like front runners. Like they
100% play like front runners.
They don't play hungry. Like I don't see, like, again, to go back to that word effort, like I want to see someone who wants to get a rebound, like who values that part of the game. Like I know, Cam's going to get his share, but like Pat had like 4. I mean,
yeah, he had one. It was 1 for 1, 1 for 1,
and he had 4 rebounds. Like I think 4 rebounds. I mean, where is that? Like where is that sort of like the grit that Texas Tech had? Duke didn't have that, and they haven't had that. They haven't needed it until now, but they haven't had it. And I think that's going to be a problem. Like, where's the mettle of this team? Like, where is the fire, and not even just the fire, but like the grit. Like, you got to have gritty guys on your team. I don't know if they have gritty guys on their team.
Yeah, and they need somebody to step up. Like, we scored 81 points, and like I said, shot 52% from the field, but it felt like the role players cannot make a big shot when they need to bank it. Like Dame had a couple threes he missed in the second half that were crucial, wide open ones, and Nick Kaminia had the same thing. And I know that, like, box score watching, they played okay if you look at the box score, but in those moments, like, I know it's so easy to look at Cam Boozer and say, hey, lay the ball up every time. But Duke was trying to go high-low with Gongwa throwing over top. But Texas Tech was so aggressive at taking away second pass to where if they would have thrown it, it was picked off by help side. So the next option is kick it to the corner wide open. And Duke did, and Duke just did not make those shots. And I'm not saying when Duke was up 1 or 3. It was when Duke was up 8, and that could have been like the camel or the straw that breaks the camel's back, where that 8-point lead is now 11 in the game because you hit the 3. Instead, you miss it, they go down, they score, then they get another stop, and that's just I need to see, like, Isaiah again. If he's sick, that's one thing, but
if he's that sick,
now,
he shouldn't be playing. Like, he shouldn't be playing down the stretch. Like,
they only got 9 guys.
Yeah, they only have 9 guys. Yeah,
I mean, look at his position though.
Yeah,
how many guys do they have that can do what he does, even if he's not doing it?
In a game in which like the offense wasn't the problem, if he's not out there and throwing flames, then like there was that nice 2-minute stretch where he really got going, and then we didn't see him again. We didn't see him the entirety of the rest of the game. Like, and if he's just out there, I don't want to be as dismissive as saying like running laps, right? Because that's not fair. Like, generally speaking, Duke played pretty well for the majority of the game, just not the stretch that mattered down the last, especially like 10 minutes, right? Like, I just worry about what happens more, frankly, on the defensive end, which is not where like people's concerns have been generally. People's concerns have been on the offensive end. Like, the defensive end is where I get concerned. Cam sometimes, especially early in games, like, it seems bent on protecting his fouls, which, there's probably some wisdom there, but it gives up easy baskets early in games. Definitely does. Pat on switches or things where he gets caught, trying to blitz and then is just too far from the basket. Sometimes things happen there. If Evans is in the game, I think he's improved a lot as a defender, but I think there's still stuff there. Obviously, Harris, Hamania. I mean, like, there's questions there sometimes if we're running full pure switch, which again, it seemed like we were doing down the stretch of the game. Whether that was the goal or not, it's what it looked like from the outside. I'll be interested to hear more about it, from the staff or whomever else. But like, I worry about this personnel and switch in big games. If Pat's in the game, if Darren's in the game, Caden Boozer is getting better progressively defensively, but not there yet. Hamania, same thing. They're freshmen. You can't really put that on them, like Evans again, getting better, still maybe not quite there. I don't know. I think that's something that will have to be looked at down the stretch of close games. If they have a guard or somebody who can create like that, like, so often when you look on Twitter, the response is, well, Duke doesn't have, like, where's Duke's guy that can do that? It's like, yeah, but if we can cut off the head of the snake on the other end, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter at the end of the day. I can't imagine anyone watching this game and going, the problem is the offense. Like, the problem to me screamed defense today.
Yes and no. Yes, that the defense was the issue today, but like in terms of the season, like if I looked at like what I still am concerned about, 11-1, I'd still say the offense, because the defense from last year to this year, like they've won a lot of games because they locked in defensively, and offensively, I'm still like, it's all coming into the seasons like, who's the Robin to Cam Boozer, and when Isaiah and Pat both make one field goal in the game, it's like, oh boy. And though the bench did have like 30 bench points, so don't get me wrong, but 3 of 13 in the second half from three. You shot 50% in the first half, but you're 3 of 13 in the second half. And one of those threes was a saving grace of Caden Boozer in the corner in a 4-point game. Like, that's not, I don't feel comfortable when you're driving and kicking and Caden Boozer is the guy that we're relying to make the three with 40 seconds left or whatever it was. And that's like where I need like somebody to step up, or, you know, before that, I need to feel comfortable in somebody. And I think Darren Harris will be a guy that is going to be that in ACC play. I really like how he's come along. Like, his box scores won't show it, but like he just looks comfortable to where you talk about the slow starts. Maybe Scheyer just tries to run a wrinkle, and it's like one of those guys that he might play like 12 minutes, but maybe he's a starter, and then he, you know, plays periodically throughout the rest of the game. But his three-point shooting, especially to start a first half, he had a big one at Michigan State. He had a big one against Texas Tech in the first half. Maybe that's how you get it going. Just have him with Isaiah on the wings and see if they can fill it up in the first 4 minutes.
I was going to say he came off the bench before Dominic, but it looks like they came off at the same time. But like, you know, again, he came off the bench 5 minutes into this game. I mean, like, that's something that preseason, I don't know that people would have said, you know, oh, this is, you know, if Duke gets off to a bad start, we're going to look to Darren. You know, Darren's sort of more of a long-term play, generally speaking. I was very impressed with him generally in this game. Again, I don't bring him up on the defensive discussion, you know, to, you know, say anything negative about Darren. I'm actually really impressed with how he's played recently.
Right.
I really like what he brings to the table. I just, you know, I think some buttons need to be pushed. I want to look at a couple of the comments, some of which I think are at least interesting talking points. Some maybe need to be like, you know, swatted away or whatever. I don't know. Can we question Scheyer not going after Toppin with 4 fouls? I feel like maybe they wanted to. I think it's maybe a combination of they wanted to and it was hard given what McCaslin was scheming, but also it did seem like Toppin's life was pretty darn easy in the last 10 minutes of the game on the defensive end too. Right. So like, I don't think it's like a question Scheyer thing, but like it's a credit McCaslin thing maybe. And there might've been opportunities that we didn't exploit. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear you guys' take on this.
Brian, you take it first.
I mean, I don't think that was that big a deal. I mean, I don't think Toppin was the reason why we lost that game. You know,
no,
they had other guys that were beating us. So, I mean, I don't think we have the margin for error. Earlier about the point you both were making on defense for you and then offense for you, JMann. I don't think we have the margin for error on the offensive end to make up for our lack of defense in certain times of the game. And I think that's sort of the issue. Mm-hmm. We usually have a little bit more leeway in either or, but we don't have that right now.
Yeah. And to answer the question, like I have to go back. I'll watch the film tomorrow, but I felt like Duke tried it. And then that's where I was kind of hinting at earlier when I said that Duke was trying to go high-low, like over the top with Toppin, and credit Texas Tech to really deny that or overhelp to where it wasn't there, to where Duke had to go to a secondary look. And I have to rewatch it. I could be wrong, but I thought Duke still ran their offense. It just felt like they didn't. I feel like a guy's passed up open looks. Like the shot clock, it was Caleb had a shot clock violation, but I think Hermania passed up like 2 open looks on that possession. Then Caleb might have passed open 1, and then it was a shot clock violation. Like it was missed shots, hesitation, and I felt like Duke just got in their heads. Like they could feel the pressure. They could feel it kind of crumbling beneath them at times in the second half.
52% of our field goal attempts were threes, at least the ones that didn't convert to free throws, right? Including in the second half, where we obviously shot slightly fewer free throws, still shot 50% of our like registered field goal attempts were threes, and then they weren't going in. I do kind of think that when Watts is out, when Toppin has 4, when they're playing a guy who never plays, you got to find a way to take more 2s than 3s. Like, I do think you just kind of have to.
For sure.
Where you want to assign blame for that is up to the individual, but like, I do kind of think that not at least taking a few more 2s versus 3s is probably a reason, or at least something to point at, right? Again, I think that the defense was the biggest problem down the stretch pretty clearly, but, and I think that Toppin fouling out, even though Toppin's not the one who beat us, Toppin was the leading rebounder in the game pretty significantly, and Toppin is still a presence on defense on the inside. So if Toppin was out, they would have been in incredibly dire straits. So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. There were a couple more. Let's see. Look, Mark, God bless you. What we're not going to do is blame refs in a game where everybody on the other team fouled out or was almost going to foul out.
That's true. Yeah.
Did I see the flagrant coming 100 miles away? Of course. Did I think the technical foul was a little silly? Of course. Do I think that Pat maybe got a little lucky on a second opportunity to call him for another foul? Probably. I don't think the refs really played. I know that technically by calling that softer foul at the end, it technically played a role. But again, Duke put themselves in the position to lose the game before that. And you can't put yourself in that position and give the refs the opportunity to call that foul on Caleb Foster down the stretch. Like, if Duke's up 10, none of that matters, So I don't think the refs are to blame at all, personally.
You know what? I was with you, Russ, but then I realized they took away 0.3 of a second at the very end of the game from 1.9 to 1.6. So I'm back on the side of the fan. You know what? The refs screwed us. Cam Boozer probably still wouldn't have got that shot off because he was just taking his sweet time with the 1.6 on the clock.
He's got that slower release. When I saw they passed to him, I kind of immediately knew we weren't going to get a shot up. Like he's a good shooter, but it's hard for him to get that gather, turn, and shoot. He's a pace player. He's not a speed get it off guy.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm not blaming the refs when Lawan Watts fouled out with 11 minutes left or whatever it was, and he was their only offense in the first half.
Brian's nodding, so I assume the answer that you're saying is yes, and we can move on.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah. This is a really interesting one, actually, that I think is really interesting. And again, JMann as a coach, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on players have more power to change a team than a coach. Now let's set aside the fact that the coach puts together who the players are. Let's leave that, on the side. But outside of roster construction questions, JMann, I'm interested in your feelings on this statement.
I mean, it's a layered statement. Like it's a layered answer, I guess, because players have more power to change a team than a coach. Yeah, good and for the bad, definitely. They could easily tank. We saw Mark Pope pleading for his life until they won today about his $22 million rosters. Please, for the love of God. And then Will Wade, obviously.
Although that was Mark Pope pushing some buttons, right?
Yeah.
And now they're playing a lot better and they're healthy, and I don't know.
Yeah, and then Will Wade did the same thing, calling his team out this week. So, I think players have power. Players do have power. I wouldn't say more power to change a team than a coach, because at the end of the day, if you have a bad attitude, that coach will just pull you. And Duke had played 9 guys. And so if you have a bad attitude and you think you have the power, those minutes are gone. Next guy up.
Yeah. Brian?
I mean, I guess it's situational. In the course of a game, maybe the players have more power. Over the course of a season, obviously the coach has more power.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how Duke could have lost or could have won that game if players had performed what was given the tasks that were given to them to do, and they did not in a lot of cases. So
I would constrict that even more and say players have the power on like plays, right?
Correct.
Or like
Yes.
or for stretches, rather than for a full game. I do kind of think, like, to JMann's point, like, if you're not playing well, you don't have to be in the game. Like, coaches control who is in the game.
yeah, but he looks over at that bench and there's not a whole lot of help there.
Well, then that does get back to roster construction questions or player development questions or anything else. I kind of think the bench was pretty good today. Like, I thought we had a good bench.
And look, the
better bench for sure.
The best coaches will tell you it's not X's and O's, the Jimmy and Joes, and that is the real saying. Like, you win with the talent. It's just if they can run your stuff a little bit. It's very nice to have a Cam Boozer where you're just like, hey, just dump it down low and let him go to work. So, like,
sure.
There are certain players, and the roster construction, people forget Duke would have a number 2 option in Cedric Coward if he didn't just light up the NBA Combine and just go up this draft board. So,
yeah,
so I always got to keep that in the back of my mind that Duke had to pivot late in the process.
Why Scheyer didn't hobble him before the fucking pardon my language.
Well, I think too, it's worth pointing out that, again, this is one game. The end of the Florida game was very clearly a drawn-up play that resulted in a win. That was a beautifully executed play. We've been really good in sort of post-timeout, out-of-bounds plays throughout the course of the year. I mean, I think that more than anything, this season we've seen more than any of Scheyer's seasons yet, plays being run, right? Like sets being executed and executed well. And I think a perception, whether fair or unfair, that Duke has gathered over the course of, like, you might even say a bulk of the one and done era, is give the ball to that guy, right? Like that's sort of a criticism that is frequently lobbed, especially in losses, right? And I don't think I don't think anybody could make that case this year. This is clearly a team that's running stuff. But again, I think if you credit coaches in wins, you also have to ask them in losses, what can we do different? I think that's I think it goes both directions, and I tend to give a lot of things to coaches both in wins and in losses. So that's just my personal philosophy. Read the Isaiah Evans thing. This is an interesting comment. You applaud. He said that's not fair. You applaud athletes for playing when they're not 100%. I have an interesting take on this, but I want to hear from you guys first.
So I do applaud athletes when they're not playing 100%. But to your point, Russ, if he was really that sick, because I mean, it's not confirmed yet, like if Scheyer's even going to address if he was sick all week. But say that he was, and then like that is the coach's decision. And Scheyer's like, hey, like you're sick as a dog. Like it's just not going to be your night. To where I value an effort for Isaiah playing sick, but we're going to play you 20 minutes because you're just not there. So like I do like the toughness that Isaiah showed if he was that sick, that he tried to dog it out. But at the end of the day too, if he's that sick and you see him kind of struggling throughout the game, it's like, hey, we got to our bench is producing, so it's just not going to be your night tonight.
Brian?
I agree. I mean, if he was really sick, then you don't know, like, okay, well, he wake up in the morning and he felt great, but he hadn't practiced, so he's a little off. So I don't know. It really depends on if he was truly sick up until the game, or if he had a day or two where he was like, you know what, coach, I'm feeling better. I'm ready to get at it. But I mean, as far as applauding him for his effort, I mean, he had more rebounds than Pat. So
sure. Yeah, I think that applauding the toughness and commending the toughness of a player is completely fair. And also, let's be clear, whether you're sick or not, basically no athlete after the start of the season is 100%. Like guys get sort of depleted with increasing levels depending on getting nicked up and whatever, over the course of a year. So every athlete who's out there in March is not 100%. So in that sense, I applaud them in the sense that I think it's really cool that they're this tough, but also it's the job. But also, if you're so not 100% that you can't produce, I think there is a bit of, in basketball and in sports in general, this culture of if you don't play, then you're soft, that I don't like at all. And I think it's one thing if like if you think a guy is sort of like being duplicitous or like making business decisions and blaming body problems or something like that, which clearly is not the case here, especially because he was out there, right? Like that sort of question is different, but like, I don't want to say like if I hear that somebody like has the flu or what like a Jordan flu, the Jordan flu game is what started all this. So like Willis Reed, right? Like just starting all of this, right? Where people going like, yeah, he had like one leg and he scored 20 points. That's what every player should do. It's like, nah, dude, it's not. It's not. That's a great way to end your career early. That's a great way to like get other people sick and mess other things. It's a weird mentality that I don't abide by personally, but I think a lot of fans of athletics would disagree with me on that. So it's what it is. Yeah. Why? Here's a great one. Scheyer's a terrible coach being propped up by talented players. To which I'd reply, who do you think got the players there?
Also, question just for this guy that asked, who said this? Who was the fastest in AC history to win 100 games?
Well, he had a lot of talent.
I mean, well, that's debatable for the first 2 years, but
also they won. This is the thing that gets me, right. Duke won a very close game against Florida, right? Duke won close games against. I know the end results for games like Kansas and Arkansas looked a little bigger than they were, but like those were close games.
Michigan State as well.
Michigan State was a close game, and yet Duke won. So are those? I guess the argument would be, well, those wins were in spite of the coach, and then when you lose, it's because of the coach. I think it has to go. This is to my point of like, you have to credit the coach in wins if you're going to blame them in losses, and if you don't credit them in wins, then you have to blame the players in losses as well, right? Like it really kind of is you have to be consistent with your criticism one way or another, is my personal feeling on it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, Scheyer, who do you think got the talent in Durham? Like, yeah, they have #1 recruiting class or whatever it is. Well, who do you think's getting them? Duke coaches.
Coaching.
Coach. Yeah, it's part of the coaching. Who got him when Coach K was the head coach? Scheyer was known to be a good recruiter then. So it's just like, it's obviously it's an easy thing. It's low hanging fruit when a coach loses a game and drops his record to like 100 wins and 20 losses or whatever it is. Like the guy 5 years ago got turned down from DePaul to be a head coach, and now he's won 100 games at Duke in 4 years. Like he clearly knows the game, and he draws up really good plays when they need it, and you saw it against Florida, and you've seen it in other big games.
It's always obvious who knows ball and who doesn't. They just assume the coaches just roll the ball out there and just turn around and like play video games like Stephen A. Smith.
Well, he's also – I bring this up every single time, and nobody has a good answer for it. If let's say this person's a Duke fan, they're not, but because a lot of the people who listen are not Duke fans. But like if this was a Duke fan, who would you prefer? That's a realistic, option given the situation that Duke was in, at the time. They were not going to go to an outside of the family guy right after Coach K. They weren't. They just weren't. So then who in the tree were you going like, yeah, like obviously Scheyer was a bit of a mystery box, at the time, but I kind of think given everything else, you take the mystery box, and then given the results, again, he's a young coach. The first season wasn't his best. The second season wasn't his best. Third season was his best. I think until tonight, this season was looking like his best and might still be his most impressive, as a coach. He's a young guy too. It'll come along, but man, who would you prefer? People might just say names of non-Duke related coaches, which like, it wasn't an option, and like it's not an option right now. I mean, like if Scheyer decides to like for whatever reason not coach anymore, then like that's a different discussion of like where things go from here. But your first Coach K, post Coach K coach is very clearly a Duke guy, and Scheyer I would very, very clearly not rather have anybody else.
Yeah, he's crushed it. I mean, like I said, 100 wins and won the ACC tournament year one, right? And then he won the ACC last year and the tournament and won 35 games, went to the Final Four or something like that. And
Elite Eight year 2, some injury help, but we did get the Elite Eight in year 2. Even in a quote unquote disappointing year, it was still a top 10 Ken Pom team. I mean, like, the results are really, really good, guys, generally speaking. Tonight's collapse, the Houston collapse, I get it. You know, some of those things are blemishes, but like the results are generally really good.
What coach doesn't have blemishes?
They all do. Coach K had blemishes. That's what people don't even want to talk about either, too, is like
the 99 team was the biggest, like, if Twitter was around during the 99 national championship, I mean, it would have burned to the ground.
04 or, you know, some of the like there's this idea that Coach K, because he won 5 titles, could do no wrong, that because he's the greatest coach in the history of college basketball, that he could do no wrong. They're all people. They are all human beings.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as infallibility. Like, you know, the era of John Wooden not like losing like 1 game in 7 years, you know, is gone. That's not around anymore. So like even the best coaches are going to have that stuff. I think that Mark Few is one of the best coaches in college basketball. He's never won a title. He lost by $1 billion to Michigan. I think Dusty May's a really good coach. Those games against TCU and Wake Forest were very dodgy. You know, I think Matt Painter is one of the best coaches in college basketball, and they got smoked by Iowa State. I mean, like, the best coaches lose games. The best coaches have games where you go, man, the team did not look ready. That does happen. So
it's December. Like I said, like you're still figuring a team out, and you're 11-1. And like Zion said, you take that with the schedule that the preseason is like, hey, this is the non-conference schedule. You're 11-1 going into Christmas. You regroup. You play a Georgia Tech team in Cameron right before New Year's, and then you go against the ACC. That's going to be an ACC that I like. Like, I really like this Virginia team a lot. I really like other pieces. NC State seems to be responding better, but I still they're a different category. But like UNC's bounced back, so this team, though this was a tough pill to swallow with blowing a double-digit lead, they're fine. 11-1. There's going to be answers to certain questions, and there's going to be different rotation pieces and different lineups that I think, Rush, you would like, because I do agree with you that there was a lineup or two that I was like, it just didn't feel like they were meshing well in the flow of the game. And of course, like Scheyer and the coaching staff are going to rewatch it and be like, hey, like we got to like circle this as something we need to address moving forward. And so it happens. You have to do trial and error, and it just happened to shoot Duke in the foot at times against Texas Tech in the comeback.
Another thing that no one's really talking about is like, okay, aside from Malik and Caleb, this is still a very young team. Like you're doing this mostly with sophomores and freshmen still. Like they're going to make mistakes. They're going to have more games like this. It's just, you're not talking about a bunch of juniors and seniors. You're talking about a bunch of guys who are all in new roles. I mean, even Isaiah didn't play the amount of minutes that he played last year. So you're talking about a really young team still. And I think there's going to be those growing pains, and we're going to see more of them because the ACC is a lot older.
Hey, Russ, does Duke go mid-season and just get somebody in the portal that some teams are doing these days all of a sudden?
Somebody did mention can Rippy enroll second semester since there aren't rules anymore?
Probably could, honestly.
It's insane. I don't know where this came from. Like when I will say this.
I know where it came from.
Well, yeah. When I was in college, though, like I played Greensboro College, but they have like a young adult program or something where it allows people to come in like January. And so basically they had this guy come in January, won player of the year in the conference, didn't play November, December, came in January, tore up the conference, won conference player of the year. And so now that I see that these players are jumping in Division I 10 years later, I'm like, this is bullshit, because it bit me in the tail when I played, and now I'm seeing these G League guys jump in. And look, I don't think they're really going to be impact players, but say like Seth Trimble was out for the year for UNC. If they got a key piece because he was out, then it's a talking point of like, okay, cannot let this happen. So it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy.
Well, here's what's going to happen. I'm putting this down right now. I tweeted about this, but I genuinely believe this is going to happen. let's say, and it's not going to happen with him because he's a pretty good player, I think, but like, let's say Jaden Hardy, didn't get re-signed by the Mavs, and Kentucky could offer him more money than an NBA team was willing to offer him, right? Let's say that, which is not impossible for a player like that, could happen, right?
Yeah.
What's stopping that from happening other than public humiliation for that player?
Yeah.
Like nothing, genuinely nothing, right? Because what would happen is the NCAA would say you can't do that, and then Kentucky would threaten to take them to court, and then the courts would very reasonably go, well, you're letting professional players from overseas play, and you're letting G League players who are professional players play. So then why can't NBA players, if they still have college eligibility, why can't they play? Like, yes, of course you can play. And then you're going to have guys who, tried the NBA and it didn't work out, come and play college ball because you can, make $10 million over a few years if you decide to play your cards right? Like that's 100% going to happen. If it doesn't happen next season, it's probably like the season after. It's coming, right? And a former NBA player is going to try to come back to college. And so I think that the solution to this is very clearly to put in sort of a more strict set of rules, call it professional basketball, which is what it is, allow the players to unionize, which would then require, caps and collective bargainings, and like you treat it like the minor league that it actually is. People don't have to pretend that it's not that anymore. It is, right? And then some equity could come into play, right? And then you wouldn't get weirdness, and then the NCAA could set rules with that collective bargaining from the players group, the players union, whatever it is, right? It might mean that the mid-majors don't want to play that game, and then there's a schism that happens between certain universities and other universities, but like until something like that happens, it's just going to bring more and more pro players into college ball. That's just the name of the game.
Why bother with the school at this point? Like, what's the point? Like the one dude is coming in for one semester. He has one semester of eligibility, and he's coming in to play.
Like, it's crazy. Like, listen, I would, you know what, Gary Trent, if you don't pan out next year, we need a shooter, just come back. You have 3 years eligibility.
Hey, Cam Reddish is overseas, man.
Well, that's the next step after a guy. The first thing will be a guy who never came to college will then come to college and then make that argument. And then the next step after that will be somebody who left early and regrets it.
LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron. I mean,
he played.
Who would say no to 42-year-old LeBron James, though? Seriously, like
nobody. We need that toughness.
We need the toughness. Let's see. There were one or two other things. A bunch of people have said something similar to this, and this was a talking point. I feel like that's come up on previous shows about we don't have a second scorer. My general response to this is I kind of think that's a little overblown, but I'm interested to hear what you two think about it.
Go ahead, Brian. I'll let you go first.
You scored 81 points today. I don't think you have to have a second guy that scores 20 or 15. You can do it by committee, and I think that's probably preferable.
Scored 81 without our second leading scorer basically scoring at all.
Exactly. And Texas Tech is a good defensive team, so I'm not really worried about – I mean, they're all right.
No, not this year. They haven't been. They've been bad.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Generally, you're right, but not this season.
All right.
Yeah. Just unfortunately, Brian, last 2 games, they give up 90 or more back-to-back games. But
didn't they almost lose to like
they played Northern Colorado last.
Yeah, they almost lost that game, right? They gave up like 90 points or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
90.
They gave up 90 in a 68 possession game, and I mean, even tonight they gave up 81 in a 70 possession game. I mean, they gave up 93 to Arkansas in a 67 possession. Like they gave up 72 to Wyoming in a 68 possession game. I mean, they're not a good defense right now.
They have the raw materials to be a good defensive team.
Most of their raw materials was sitting on the bench injured or fouled out. Like,
well,
yeah, I do think it does bother me that like Slim has not been reliable. Like I know that it's I do agree with you, Russ, that Caleb Foster has stepped up big in key moments in these big wins that Duke's had, whether it was the 3 against Arkansas, the steal against Boogie Flan where he turned it over, and then the 3 against Michigan State and the 2 free throws, like Caleb Foster in those moments, big time shots. And then Pat has been very efficient. Like he played well against Florida at home where he filled up the stat sheet. I would like him to get like maybe 10 plus field goal attempts in a game. One is just not going to cut it. I know they scored 81, but he's got it. There's no way he should have less than 8 field goal attempts with what he can do around the rim. And then Slim, just not excluding this game as a whole. I know he had 16 or whatever against Lipscomb, but it's like the Florida game. What, he was 0 of 7 from 3 until he hit the game winner. He was 1 of 8. Like he's got to be relied on. Like it's the whole point of him coming back for year 2 is to be a guy on this team. And a lot of people, though, that's unnecessary pressure for him because last year he had such a fun role on that team. He came on the scene against Auburn, and I think people got a false narrative that you're going to get that every night with what he can do. And I would like to see him get easier looks. So I would like to see him and Pat play better. But in terms of like, do we need a second option or second scorer? I think by committee, Duke will be okay.
Brian?
I think I already said that, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hey, 5 blocks against Florida for Slim. I think the biggest problem that we're seeing right now with Slim, obviously, is, you know, in tier A and B games via KenPom, so that's 18 of the 36 games last season, Slim shot 48% from 3 in those games. And obviously he was never going to replicate that this year, right? This year he's already taken in A and B games almost as many attempts as he took in those games last year, and he's made 32.5% from 3. He's made 28% from 3 against the Tier A teams. Just not good enough. You know, also in Tier A games, he's shooting 46.7% from 2. Again, not good enough. I actually think he's improved his overall game quite well.
Yeah.
Including his defense. His passing is clearly much better this year. His dribble drive, you know, when I watched them scrimmage this summer, I think I said on this show, like, I watched him go inside a lot. And when he was going inside, it was not like I'm going inside with the intention of passing. It was I'm going inside with the intention of scoring. You know, like that was that's generally when he's got the ball, it's with the intention of scoring. And, you know, his dribble drives have generally been no exception. But I mean, his assist rate is up pretty substantially without his turnover rate being up that much. His fouls drawn rate's up, his free throw rate up. I mean, like everything is up with the exception of like O rating, right? Like the exception of that true shooting percentage. So I don't know. I'm not too alarmed by Slim in general. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll come around because he's more well-rounded. I do kind of wonder, and this is a question that nobody wants to talk about right now, but is probably like at least looking ahead, given, you know, Rippey's, you know, he's making his decision December 30th. And, you know, some of the other guys that Duke has been associated with, a lot of the questions that pop up with, you know, when Duke is looking at recruits is, well, who will be back next year? And I think what I have gathered is outside of like Cam Boozer and like Malik Brown and like, I think one other, but I'm not going to like necessarily say who. I think that everybody else is a candidate to return. I think there's a lot of potential candidates to return here because maybe the second option, quote unquote, the second scorer, it's not manifesting itself in like there's a guy who's a very obvious top 10 pick in the draft other than Cam Boozer or even like a lock for a lottery pick. You know, I think there are a lot of guys who would fall into that like late first range potentially. And then, you know, I know for a fact that the Duke staff thinks that that's where Slim would have gone last year. And he chose to come back specifically to round out his game because he saw the writing on the wall, which is happening in the NBA, which is guys who go to the NBA in the NIL era too soon are fine and aren't ready to contribute. They don't find that lucrative second contract. They just don't. And we've seen it with Duke players. We've seen it with non-Duke players, right? Where they just don't get that second deal. And I think Slim was smart to come back. I think a lot of guys who on this squad might look at where they will be positioned next year, again, depending on how the rest of the season goes, obviously. But if they find themselves in that range, they're going to strongly consider coming back. And again, what does that mean for the makeup of next year's roster and the pros and the cons and everything else? So when people talk about the second scorer, I'm less concerned about what it means for, like, quote unquote, this roster. I'm frankly more intrigued by what it might mean for, like, the development of those players going forward, not just this year, but maybe potentially into a next year, and what might unfold in that direction. That's not an answer that people want. They want to hear, like, yeah, we need a second. We need Christian Anderson. We need whoever. Like,
I will say, though I said that about Slim struggling shooting from the field, there was about this time a year ago, I made a video about Con Knipple shooting struggles, and then Con shot lights out literally against Georgia Tech, was the next opponent, and then he never turned back and was lights out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
obviously we know what Slim did last year, so maybe gets it going just like Con did, where he flips that switch playing playing Georgia Tech right before the new year, just like Con kind of did last year in December, and then he flips that switch, and all of a sudden we're laughing about this conversation that I'm having right now about second scores. Like, well, Slim's averaging 16 points in ACC play because he's shooting lights out.
Slim was great against Kansas. Pat was great against Florida. Caleb was obviously great against Arkansas and, like, Michigan State. I mean, like, there are guys who step up in our wins.
Yeah.
It's just when Duke loses, then everyone's like, oh, well, who's Duke's second best player? Tonight the answer might have been Caden Boozer.
I think it was. I mean, I think Caden was. I mean, off of rip, what I can think of, I think it was Caden Boozer from start to finish. I mean, 5'8".
If you want to factor in defense, it might have been Dame Sarr, as much as nobody wants to mention that either. Right?
Yeah, like, Malik had 5 steals though, so I can't slight Malik.
Malik is another option for tonight. Yes,
crazy, but yeah,
Dame. Scheyer mentioned he wanted him to score more. Like, he wanted him to take more shots.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, we've gone pretty long anyway. Somebody commenting Arizona will host Slap Duke. I mean, if Duke plays the way they did tonight, then yes.
Yeah.
If Duke plays the way they did against Michigan State or Florida, maybe not.
Every game is a snapshot. It's not. They don't all carry over like that. So we'll see.
I mean, Arizona, like, Duke was 2-0 against them last year. I know it's a different team, but I just want to trigger whoever. And, like, look, it's December. We're not going to play until if we run into each other in March. So who cares that's what you think right now? I don't care.
Nothing is more fascinating to me than the fact that Arizona is as good as they are, with the fact that they basically, like, they rarely shoot threes.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real zig when everyone else is zagging. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out over the course of a season. I think that there might be some real wisdom to that potentially. Like, we'll see. It's against conventional wisdom, but sometimes, being the first guy to do something different when everyone else is doing something else it works out sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in the NBA last year, I think it was last year. I forgot what team was it, started playing 2 bigs together. Like, what are you doing? And they started winning games because they were playing 2 bigs while everybody else trying to go 5 out and have 4 guards in a big. So you're right. Like, unconventional wisdom, it can be a trend.
Was it OKC?
It might have been. It might have been OKC.
Well,
of course it would be.
Those Warriors teams too. Like, again, everyone said they shot too many threes, and now everybody is, like, doubled the amount of threes they shoot. It just kind of is what it is. Showtime Evans should have got the shot at the end. I think they were trying to get him the ball. And that's why Texas Tech didn't guard the inbounds, is because they put 2 people on Evans. I think they saw that coming a mile away, unfortunately. Like, that just is what it is. You say it's on the players and not Scheyer. I mean, we didn't say that, or at least I certainly didn't say that. Majority of the single, yeah, I mean, like, I think the height advantage kind of is sort of a whatever. I think there are pros and cons of playing that way, but I do think that the height advantage in terms of Duke losing the rebound battle is pretty embarrassing.
And also the Duke shot those threes. Again, I'll watch the film back, but like I said, they're crowding the paint to where they're not letting Duke throw it. Like there's a lot of traffic. I know they're 6'6", but there's a lot of traffic, and you just can't throw it over top and pray he's gonna come down with it. Moss helps out defenders. So like most of those threes are always like good looks as the secondary option. It's just you got to hit them.
I heard a lot of play Darren Harris more. I even heard after last game, some whisper after Lipscomb, after it was kind of a bad game for both Nick and Dame, of like maybe we should start Darren Harris. Man, how quickly things changed. Because I'm pretty sure like a few games ago, people were like, never put him in the game. And then people are immediately like, now he should start. Whereas the answer is like in the middle. I think he should be doing exactly what he is doing. Maybe play a little more depending on matchups, a little less depending on others. But, he's building towards an upperclassman, turn here at Duke is what I would hope to see from him.
Yeah, I think Darren's progressing well, and he's looking more confident. And I want him to get more minutes. I think he's earned it, and I think Scheyer and the staff will, reconfigure when after the break, and you'll see him probably play. You won't see him play less than 5 minutes a game like you kind of did before the Lipscomb game, where it's like 8 minutes or less. I think he's going to be a 10-plus minute guy because of the inconsistencies of Haminia and Dame.
Agreed.
He misses having a point guard who can slash, facilitate, and score. We have a point guard who can do those things, and his name is Cam Boozer. Is the real answer? Like,
yeah.
Kyrie Irving games. That's the thing.
Kyrie Irving or Jay Williams, who got his jersey retired for winning like in 3 years. Like, I miss having those type of guys too. To have Kyrie Irving and Jay Williams, but I also miss having JJ Redick.
Until like Zion and like Cooper, to some extent as well. Like Kyrie, I think was the first player that I remembered like seeing immediately and going like, this is an NBA player on a college court. This is ridiculous. What's he doing here? This is the silliest thing. It was. People don't remember that, but man, like those games against like Jacob Pullen and like whoever the other guy, there was. He obviously played Butler some until he got out, and then there was at least one other big game, and he was just like so clearly head and shoulders above everybody. It was ridiculous.
He was so nuts, dude.
It was so insane. Hey, there might be a slasher coming to Duke next year potentially at the point guard position. We'll find out.
Yeah,
we'll find out from Jersey, in fact. The free throw shooting, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, but I honestly, before this game, we were kind of at the median, like the middle of the pack in the nation in terms of free throw percentage. Like, not really a huge net plus or minus. Obviously, we're a little below after today, but like I think we're very clearly a better free throw shooting team than today was. But yeah, if we shoot sub 60% in a game, we might lose. I mean, it's just how basketball goes.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
some guys aren't going to get better.
And we missed the front end.
I think we all know who that person is, and they're just not. I mean, they've shown over 3 years that free throw shooting is not their thing.
Yeah,
and it's a guard, and you know who it is.
6 of 13 in the second half. And you missed the front end of the 1-and-1, and then you missed the front end of the 1-and-1 in the first half too. Like, so you're really 17 of 31. It's just it's tough. You can't win those.
Foster hasn't shot over 70% ever in his career. So.
It's really insane to have a career 38% 3-point shooter shoot 65% from free throw. Like that. That's pretty wild. I mean, and if last year wasn't a calamity from three, I mean, he's very clearly a plus 40% 3-point shooter. Like, given catch and shoot opportunities, I think are better for him. But like, I don't know how to rectify that. And obviously, like, Caden doesn't get to the line very much. Has looked, actually, he's after today. Maybe it's been bumped up a little. But in big games, he's not getting to the free throw line at all, basically. I think he should be a good free throw shooter, but it's not like his form necessarily looks, aesthetically pleasing. Put it that way. they were going in at a 75% clip. So as long as they go in, I don't care. But like, this team does have like some interesting shooting forms in general, like from a number of guys. And obviously, depending on who comes to the team next year for Duke, you could certainly see a world in which another guy with who isn't necessarily a quote unquote shooter might be added.
I think everybody outside of Isaiah has an interesting shot.
I would say Darren also looks aesthetically quite pleasing.
Yeah, sorry, Darren. Yeah, the no dip three is beautiful. I was thinking like Jimenez is a little like off just slightly. Dame has that Tatum base where it's like he's leaning forward, like a little hitch, and then the Bruiser twins. Two different.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's why Darren wasn't 6'9". He was
smack. Well, yeah, he's shooting like he's a 5'9" guy. Like it comes up so high. It's such a rainbow. But like, I mean, it goes in at a good clip, so that's really all that matters, I guess. But like, I find it incredible. I tweeted this before the game, and I'll have to look at where the shots came today. But Dame coming into this game was shooting 6.3% on above the break threes and 61.1% on corner threes. Wow, that is such a stark difference. I know he made one above the break three today. I think his other two were corners, or at least very close to the corner.
They were.
It's incredible. This is a little, frankly, like Jacob Grandison-esque, how people talked about how coming into Duke at Illinois, the corner three was like his thing. And then we proceeded to watch him take like way more threes that were not corner threes at Duke, which was a little questionable, but we've moved on. But yeah, I'm happy to at least see him taking so many corner threes. I mean, they're clearly his bread and butter. I mean, but yeah, I'm interested to see how the shooting forms of all these players. If they go in, I don't care. But like, it's.
Mm-hmm. We had a guy in high school that couldn't shoot free throws. He was a guard. They had him shooting jump shots from the free throw line.
Dude, you know who might have like one of the top 3 most aesthetically pleasing shots on the team who isn't playing this year is Wilkins. I kind of like the way that Wilkins is like, at least I think it passes the eye test. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair. I need to see more reps. I'm not going to lie, because I'm just picturing the three off the corner of the backboard at Tennessee.
But, yeah, that was just I'm a young guy that's nervous.
But to your point, he did make one. He made a 3 against UCF, and I think he also made a 3 at Tennessee also. But he's redshirting for a reason, right? He should be nice. But I made a YouTube video that I liked what I saw from his film because I wasn't expecting much, and so I'm gonna hold on to that stock for his athleticism and possibly 3-point shooting.
The scrimmages that I watched where he was shooting, I very much liked what I saw.
Yeah.
I
liked it. I liked what I saw in his high school film. So it's going to be something he's going to be a piece that people are going to forget for next year. If we want to talk about next year, guys, we've already kind of alluded to, like if guys come back, hey, this guy's a red shirt with that athleticism at 6'9". Yes, please.
There's a guy I know who's in sort of coaching / the sort of sports media world is a big Georgetown guy. So he was following Wilkins a lot. And he thought that if Wilkins had not reclassed, that he would have ended up top 10, maybe higher in that class, So you love having him with a full year of practicing against Cam Boozer and stuff like that next year. I mean, that's great. I'm not calling on the guy who is very clearly not a Duke fan anymore. I get it. Sar disappeared in the first half. Well, it's because he was not in the game. That's why he disappeared. That is a big problem. Look in the mirror. Sure. Yeah. I mean, probably. I think that's a fair assessment. Why does Caleb miss so many layups? I don't know. I think maybe that's a bit more of a meme than like necessarily true given the young season. I'd have to look at the numbers, but like obviously last year was a huge problem, and at the beginning of this season it didn't look great. But in the big games, he kind of did make baskets at the rim and in the floater range. So I don't know. Man, you looking at the tape? Do you have a take on this?
I'm pulling up his synergy right now. Shot types. What it said? Layups. At rim, yeah, I mean, at rim, I guess he isn't shooting well from the field. He's shooting 43%, 13 of 30. So, yeah, I mean, that is something I guess you got to look at that. I don't know. That's good.
Yeah, and that might be half court. I'd be interested to see. I think you can break that down on CBB Analytics, actually.
Probably.
In half court settings versus otherwise. I'll have to look at that. But
he did struggle last year. I remember
big problem last year.
Yeah, I think his last 8 out of 9 were actually like blocked. I used to have it on my notepad somewhere around here, but I did his deep dive before the season. But yeah, that's something. Yeah, he's 6'4". I would like to see him. You know, just go and try and dunk on somebody. If you get hung or you get blocked, I don't care. Just show me that you're not scared.
He feels like he's 6'2" the way he plays guard when he's going in the paint. He doesn't feel like he's 6'4" or 6'5" at all.
Yeah, I would love to see him just try and rise above one time and just, I don't care how ugly it looks. Just show me that. I would love it. I'd love it. Just test it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like both him and Dame, it's like they can get 2 feet in the paint whenever they want.
But the finishing.
But there's a finishing.
Dame just needs to have do this tennis ball drill to really soften up his hands. His hands are so hard that it always rolls off his hand hard. Whether it's the lack of touch or even his dunks, or he's had a couple missed dunks, and I'm like, Dame, just ease those hands, baby, ease those hands. So tennis balls. But that athleticism, he's gonna be fine when he figures it out. But yeah, he needs to finish better too.
Yeah. Caleb, 24th percentile at the rim, 78th percentile in the paint. I mean, he's gotten good at those little floaters or those little very short, jump stop things, very close to the rim. I'd love to see him keep doing that. But yeah, very, very sort of interesting. And he's sort of the total opposite of Dame, where above the break, he's a very good 3-point shooter. In the corner, he's not so much.
Yeah.
Anything else before we go? I'm just scrolling through. Duke, I mean, Duke's had some pretty good point guards in there, but I know for a fact that when I asked directly about point guard play, that they were unconcerned, and a large part of why they were unconcerned is because they were going to run so much stuff through Cam, through Pat, through Malik. They feel that there is an advantage to be exploited through running stuff through big men at the elbow or from the top of the key or whatever, because who's going to guard them out there? What can be done at that point, right? I'm sure that for conventional wisdom, that's not an acceptable answer, but I think that's why Duke was not totally oh my God, we need Donovan Dent. We need
yeah.
They liked what they had going forward, and I'm sure they also thought Cedric Howard was going to play a part of that role as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also winning a national championship always makes it look a lot sweeter. When you bring up Tyus Jones, we haven't had a true point guard since Tyus Jones, and you think of that as a championship caliber point guard, and you're right. But Jahlil Okafor, you just throw it down there and get out of the way, that big fella's going to eat no matter what. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you had Justice Winslow, who was honestly one of the most underrated role players Duke's ever had. When you think about excelling in your roles, but Duke won 35 games last year, going 19-1 in conference play with Cooper Flag being a point forward, and then Con Knippel being a point forward. And
Sion being a point forward. And
Sion being a point forward. Yeah, Sion is not a prototypical type of point guard, but damn, when he had the ball in his hands, it was just the smartest decision on the court at all times. And then he was just a catch and shoot assassin in the offense. So I do understand the take about haven't had a true point guard since Tyus, but the game's changed to where you don't need it. It's positionless basketball for the most part, and Duke's excelled in that recently with Cooper Flag, obviously last year, and Cam this year. So I'm not too worried about it.
They also must have meant Trey Jones and not Tyus.
Yeah. Because Trey, and look, I think Duke's fine. I don't think you need a a traditional pass first point guard. Caden has shown to be that. Yeah, it's just he's not to that level of what Trey or Tyus was their freshman year, but he clearly is getting more comfortable because this is the best he's looked all year, or the best he's looked in a long time this season. So if he can turn the corner and be a guy that's the point guard that pushes it tempo off a made or missed basket, then off the bench, that's a huge plus for the team.
Yeah, I generally agree. His plus minus was not good in the second half, but I think that was because of those lineups with Caleb. I don't think that those lineups played very well tonight. We'll be fine. We're 11-1. I'll take it. Babu, that's a great thing to end on here because I generally agree. I don't think we're going to have another crazy cast before New Year's, would be my guess. We've got Georgia Tech at home December 31st. Boy, that better be a get-right spot. Georgia Tech has been pesky, but they aren't good. So, you have to beat a team that's not good, whether they've been pesky historically or not. And then we immediately hit Florida State away and Louisville away. Florida State also not good, but playing on the road there has given us some troubles at times. And then obviously Louisville is quite good this year. So, they've got a little bit of time to figure things out.
I guarantee you Scheyer is working right now. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's going to be look, they're going to be fine. It's a good loss, or it's not a good loss, but you know what I mean? That's not the end of the world for this loss, though it sucks. So I think
do you want to say how many games we'll lose in ACC play?
Oh, God, I don't have the schedule in front of me, so that's going to be unfair for me to finally say a number. Russ, I'm going to leave that to you, though, because I know I trust your word, and then I'll just play a one off of yours.
Ken Pom has it at 15-3, just, for the record.
Yeah, I was going to be 3.
and they do have Duke, even after the loss today, as a favorite in every single ACC game at Ken Pom. I think 3 is probably fair. If it ended up being something like 4, that wouldn't surprise me given the youth, right? Like we've got 2 games against Louisville. We've got 2 games against Carolina, who's quite good. We've got some games on the road that feel a little trappy. We obviously have both of the California games this year, which neither of those teams is good, but it's just hard with travel. The NC State at NC State 2 days after playing versus Virginia and right before playing the season closer versus UNC. That feels tremendously trappy. Playing, I mean, you could call the FSU game a trap because it's right before the Louisville game, right?
And don't sleep on Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia's quite good. At least we only play them at Cameron this year. So that's nice. We only play Clemson at Cameron, which is also nice. Virginia Tech, if they're healthy, Virginia Tech is the perfect example that when we were talking earlier about coaches put together the roster. Mike Young is, in my opinion, definitely a good coach, but he can't put together an ACC roster. So he's not a good coach to be in the ACC. That's not his fault necessarily, given Virginia Tech's whole situation and whatever. But when you look at that roster, you're like, yeah, that is a very good mid-major roster. But when you play at Castle, I mean, weird things happen sometimes, even against a roster that's inferior. It's coming right after a Louisville game that'll be sort of a big 1-2 punch of Wake Forest and Louisville both at home. If we win both of those games and then go on the road feeling full of ourselves, I mean that's a spot, right? So I don't know. I'm inclined to say between 3 and 4. I think I said I thought preseason that we were going to lose 6 games total for the whole season, and I thought we were going to go either 3-3 or 4-2 in these 6 biggest out of conference games, and then lose either 3 or 4 in ACC play. And so I kind of feel the same. I think maybe we'll lose 5 games in this season instead of 6. But Ken Pom is a little more generous than I am right now, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say split Louisville, split UNC, and then either the Virginia or NC State game. Like, just to be devil's advocate, if you're going to put a gun to my head of what I have to say, I'd say those are the 3 losses there: split Louisville, split UNC, and one of Virginia, NC State. Because those 3 games in the conference play is crazy. Virginia, NC State, or Virginia at home, NC State on the road, and then UNC. It's crazy.
That at State game, if you had to bet the mortgage against Duke on any game this year, that's the game.
Like 10 plus. Like 10 plus.
Unless they lose to UVA, in which case they're gonna have like a real fire under their asses. But like that is the classic game. That pre-Carolina at State, short layover after another big game. I mean, like, all the spot things scream State in that situation. We're going to be favored by, at least right now, we'd be favored by like 5, probably in Vegas more like 7 or 8. I mean, like,
lose by 10.
Yeah. You hammer NC State at bare minimum to cover. Yeah. You know, like, so yeah. I generally agree with you. Plus, throw in one stupid one that has all the fans panicking. That's
maybe Wake.
Sure, Wake. I'd say one of those like games at FSU, at Virginia Tech, like.
Or you could get very weird and say at Cal Stanford, where they play.
I was going to say one of those.
That's weird. That's weird.
I think Cal is like pretty good this year. They're not bad. They beat UCLA. I mean, they hung in there very close with Kansas State at Kansas State. I know Kansas State isn't great, but like it was on the road. I don't know. I mean, that's the sort of thing that.
I mean, they're not going to fly back. They're not going to fly back after the Cal game on Wednesday and then go back to Stanford like Friday. Like, they're not going to fly back Wednesday night and then go back out there Friday to Stanford.
They're hanging out.
So they're hanging out.
They schedule those games like that, right?
That's why they schedule games like that. I really want to go to. I might go to that Berkeley game. That's my goal. I know. That'd be great. Brian, any thoughts?
Other than Scheyer's got some work to do. Other than that, no.
Boo! He's not picking a number. Boo! Tomatoes. Boo!
4.
Boo, boo.
4. They lose 4.
Okay, there you go. There he is. Chances of unbeaten record in ACC play on KenPom 2.5%. It's not nothing.
That's right.
Not nothing. JMann, Brian, give us some plugs. Tell the people where they can find you.
Go ahead, Brian.
You know me at Duke Blogger, at dukeblogger.com. That's pretty much it.
And you can find me on Twitter at JMann's Takes, YouTube channel at JMann_. Find me on Sleepers Media. I'll have to go head-to-head with Greg about him calling Duke soft. He was smart. He was right for tonight, but I got to go back at Greg with Duke's the rest of the seasons for them. But find me on Sleepers. Find me on Action Network. And like I said, on Twitter at JMan's Takes.
Yeah, it sucks that Greg's team's so good.
It is. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. Nothing I can say.
Yeah, when you're on top of the world, you can talk as wild as you want. Just make fun of his performance in the Basket Under Review College Basketball Jeopardy. Do that. Bring that up.
I can do that.
Yeah. Bring that up. I'm Duke Better on Twitter, and mostly just there. And then you can follow me, Russell H. Film, a bunch of places if you want to see about the movies I've written or movies I've seen or anything about movies. That's really all I post about these days for the most part, because it's good to escape. You can follow me all those places as well. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you to Zion for coming live for his I want to say in the text, he was like, I've got some info I want to share. He really hyped it up. And then it was like, Slim was feeling under the weather today. I was like, I could have told you that. And I'm sitting at home, That
was very funny.
He might as well have been playing with a thermometer sticking out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. It's ridiculous. But, he'll have some good insider, although don't call him an insider. He hates that. But I'm sure he'll have some good info for us pretty soon. Again, I don't think we'll be back before New Year's. In fact, I know we won't. So have a terrific holiday to everybody listening. Have a great New Year's. We're going to follow Duke into a tremendous 2026. That's the goal. Until then, go Duke. Carolina, go to hell. Go to hell, Carolina, some might say. And we'll see you.